Hey guys, this is Jamie. So today I want to talk about, I guess, a usual turf suspect, but funnily enough, we're not going to be talking specifically about excluding trans people or trans women specifically, but Kathleen Stock did an article really recently on in the Times specifically about that she finds it wrong that there is an increased amount of women which walk with canes. And I really wish I was just making this up, but I'm not. And Kathleen still clearly has an issue with disability, and her article is very ableist and sort of goes into nearly, I'd say, the psychosis of belief that women sort of tend to become like disability influencers, or they get influenced subconsciously to have diseases that they don't have when the symptoms aren't even that severe, and they end up sort of using canes even though they don't need them. And I have to say that obviously it was obvious that TERFs would end up sort of jumping onto something else, but as a normal human being, I find it absolutely revolting that they're going to be jumping on something else. And even if this is a slightly short time jump, or if it's a longer time jump, I obviously do not want people with disabilities or women with disabilities to be the target of TERFs and other sort of bizarre sort of TERFs, really. And to start it off with, this is absolute nonsense. Like, maybe there is more people with disabilities, but that is also because medicine progresses. Medicine sort of gets more awareness, and we do have visibility for disability. So people sort of see different sort of techniques, different ways to cope outside of like which canes work in this case, which wheelchairs are better. Doctors are more can be sort of more aware of like what helps, because obviously as different diseases get sort of diagnosed and the diagnosis gets better, the treatment gets better, sort of people also through word of mouth or for social media talk like what helps them. So we can see, instead of like someone like lying in bed with a really bad flare up, we can see someone on the street with a cane, and that is not a bad thing factually. People have disabilities. This isn't a fad. Just like trans people are not a fad, disability is not a fad. And I just find it really disgusting that these sort of British women, which are TERFs, sort of have a massive idea with the diversity that we have in life. And they sort of think that a woman in their minds is like this white sort of woman who can be fertile, who menstruates, has a specific body, has a specific facial look, and looks a specific way, because they do obviously transvestigate. They also attack women very frequently and saying like, "Oh, this is not a real woman." They go on different transphobic sort of rants of sort of like, "Oh, how this woman's not womanly enough," how they sort of ends up slut shaming. They end up shaming women. They end up sort of clothing shaming and certain decisions. So they sort of just narrow down and to what in their heads is what is it to be a woman, when in reality, the experience of a woman is a very sort of broad thing. And it's even stupid to sort of think that a woman is a very sort of, I'd say, like, even they're even putting in a sort of like a two-dimensional sort of idea. And the problem is that when people like this, who have some credentials or who have some sort of leverage, they do these articles like saying that, disability is a fad. They don't even understand what they're saying. This is putting more people with disability under the fire. And people, for instance, I have a very good close friend of mine she is disabled, and like she has a very difficult time with it, because her mom isn't as acceptive and doesn't understand certain things. And in general, like right now, we have very difficult decisions with our parents because right now there's this whole idea that parents are very triggered by the fact that we might not be wanting to talk to them because we do not want to be treated like shit. And then the parents will go, for instance, in this case, into the Times, read the Kathleen Stock article, and be like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like my daughter or my child is making this disability up because they got influenced because they saw." Quoting Kathleen Stock, like videos of how to pair your cane to your outfit. And it's like, what is wrong with pairing your cane to your outfit? Like, for instance, what is wrong with disability sort of being visible? What is wrong with it? Because I was also like thinking to do a video a while back, but I just got busy. Like with Moonspell High, for instance, it has it's dolls with which have a blind character, which have a character hard of hearing as well. And on the opposite, we need to understand that we have a massive sort of array of a massive spectrum of sort of different way to be, to exist, and how we come in all different shapes and sizes. And an ableist idea of a woman isn't the idea of a woman, it's just an ableist idea of a woman. There are women with disabilities, and that's okay. And this is just insane to say, and sort of like how to put this, these people champion themselves as someone for women's rights when in reality they just have this sheltered idea of a woman and they project it onto everyone else, and they don't want to accept that sort of their views are wrong because they sort of grew up in, like, I don't know, a very sheltered white neighborhood. I have no idea how does this even happen, that they don't see that the view they have of the world and the view they have of women is very limited. And to be honest, it really puzzles me. And like, sure, if I was a more sort of empathetic person, I'd be like, I feel bad for them because I don't know why they're so sheltered. But in reality, because they spew so much hate and hatred, I don't feel sorry for them. I just want them to either understand their mistakes and apologize, or just not end up sort of posting their articles on the Times, which are gonna end up harming people with disabilities or women with disabilities in this case. And that's the problem, that people sort of spew all this hate. And on top of that, right now we're having very massive issues like in the US with like a lot of medical research not getting funding, university research not getting funding, and different things being put on hold or on pause for who knows how long, because we don't know like if we're gonna have 3 terms of Trump, 4 or 5. I don't know what is gonna happen further for the US. And then we also have the UK, since we're talking about the Anglosphere, which also has sort of the current government putting pull turf on in motion in the UK. And now they're going to be attacking disability. And then if the UK sort of privatizes the NHS, that's going to be another massive issue. And in general, we have this enormous amount of anti medicine, anti education, anti science hate, and this just fuels it. And the problem is that, sure, maybe it's good if they'll stop paying attention towards trans people for a bit, but I don't want disability to be the next target. I don't want disabled people to be under the same fire that the trans community has for the past few years. I don't think anyone should be used as a scapegoat or should be seen as a fad when they're just trying to survive and live in the current hellscape. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. And the article just like shook me actually to the core. And I am very disgusted. I'm revolted. And I truly hope that TERFs and people like Kathleen Stock just stop voicing their opinion when it's harmful to others, and factually, these opinions are harmful. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for watching. I know I've been filming a bit on and off. I've just been really tired. And then I went on holiday, and then I just got really exhausted. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate all the love and the views. Feel free to leave a comment if you wish so. Feel free to share this to someone who needs to hear this. I appreciate that. And thank you very much for watching.